seersucker suit on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.
Well, welcome to Capital Region today. I am so happy that you're joining us today. We've got a great lineup. This is our holiday show. This time we're not going to have, we usually have Mike Purcell on playing music and stuff, but because of COVID, we've had to change things a little bit. So we're going to be doing an entire show of talking about holiday traditions. And we're going to be starting off with the Armenian traditions. We're going to go to German traditions. We're going to talk about Hanukkah, even though that's already passed, but we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about baking for the holidays, and also we have a great baker, and she's going to talk about the gifts that she's making. And then we're going to be talking about the Irish traditions. We're going to be talking about Kwanzaa. I hope I didn't miss anything. I think I got them all, but we've got a great lineup, and I hope that you'll stay with us for the entire show. And maybe think about your family traditions as well. And maybe next year you can come on the show and talk about your family traditions. Whether you're making gingerbread houses or whatever your family does, we'd love to hear about it. But we're going to start right out with the Armenian. And she's been on before. And look at this great setup that you have here.
Thank you.
And you brought a soup with you. Or no, not a soup. What is it?
We call it anush abur. And this one we make it at our New Year. As you know, January 6th, we
That's
celebrate.
Christmas, yeah.
We celebrate Armenian Christmas. Did you know that all the Christians used to celebrate on January 6th, except the Roman?
Okay.
So because of Roman, they had celebrated the pagan feast.
They wanted to cancel out the pagan feast.
Most of the Christians, they said, let's move it to December 25th to take that celebration out.
Yeah, they were trying to obscure the
yes, but
the
since
pagan.
the Armenians never followed the pagans, so
the Greeks didn't either.
The
Right?
Greeks and
the Greek Orthodox. Yeah.
Yes, so we kept the January 6th.
Yeah.
So what we do
it's an arbitrary date anyway.
Yes, and it's the Epiphany. We call it the Epiphany. It's a big celebration for our church. On January 6th, we remember Jesus getting birth. He's born and he got baptized. So in our church, we bless the water.
Oh, okay.
And all the members of the church come, and the priest bless the water with holy miron in it, and he gives it to the people, and people takes it home or drink it there, and it has the different feeling to it when you drink that.
It's a nice tradition.
It's beautiful, and we also, the church has candle. Everybody brings candle from their home and light it from the church. That means they're bringing light to their house.
What a lovely, it's sort of like, when people got married, they each had the candle and then they lit the one candle showing the together.
Because Jesus is the light of the world, so we think about that way, bring the light and there's no more darkness. And we celebrate on December 31st, it's our New Year, right?
Okay.
So after midnight, Garant Baba shows up. Garant Baba is Santa Claus. So the kids stay up till midnight, and Garant Baba will knock the door and come in.
And that's on the 31st?
On the 31st.
Okay.
And then the kids have poems and songs and dance.
So it's a celebration before Christmas?
Yes, that's why in Armenian we say Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Because we celebrate New Year first, then come Christmas.
Well, not only that, but I think what you've done is you've kept the kids and all that separate from the religious portion of the holiday. Is that correct?
Yes. On January 6th, we don't exchange gifts.
Right.
We exchange saying God has born and revealed, and we say blessed of the revelation of Christ.
So you keep it totally separate.
Yes, we go to each other's house and greet for 14 days. The table has to have always food because you never know who's gonna expect.
What a great idea.
So
I need to visit your house.
Yes, you can. Some of the traditions that we have is Armenian meatball soup.
Oh, I've had that.
So one of those meatball soup, we put hot pepper. My mother-in-law does that too. So hot pepper in one of those meatball soup. Whoever gets them will say it's your lucky year this year.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah.
I
love a little hot pepper. So hey, do that for me. Good. Make them all that way.
Yes.
So tell me about this this stew, soup, or
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it, but
So
it's more...
anush. Anush, it means sweet. Abur, it's like a soup, but it's not really soup. So it's made with barley and raisin.
I love barley, yeah.
The reason why they make this dish, because they want to start the new year sweet. So everybody should
Okay.
have a spoon, like they start
Like
a
the
sweet
Jewish
year.
New Year does the same thing, the
Yes, so
sweetness.
they decorate the trees with the dried fruits and walnuts.
And did you make the fruit?
Actually, Kim Paulette made the tree.
Oh, Paulette
and
did that, okay.
She put it together, and at the end she said, "This is your tree, Maria."
Oh, how nice. What a great idea.
So yes,
Is that a real tree?
Yeah, it's a
Oh, it
real-
is real. Yeah.
real tree. And we also have rice and raisin for dinner, and we have fish for dinner.
Okay.
So it's always like you always have to have a different table with full of food and joy in our hearts for 14 days. Keep
Yeah.
saying God has born and revealed, Christ has born and revealed.
What a wonderful tradition that
Yes,
is.
yes.
And is this something like that came from Armenia, or is that something that is you bought off the shelf?
Yeah, I bought it from the shelf because it reminds us of Christmas and
Okay.
Nativity, and it's always under my tree. Actually, I have the displayed one.
Okay, the Nativity.
I take Jesus away and hide it, and on Christmas Day.
Oh, yeah, because
with
he
the
wasn't there first, yeah.
With the family, we're trying to find him, and we pray and we put Jesus back.
Oh, how cute.
Yes.
So that's your family tradition
Yes,
as well.
so Garant Papa's watching you, and
Yeah,
And so far,
I
you're
won't
in a
get
good
coal
list.
in my stocking, right?
He told me you're in a good list.
Oh, good. I'm glad I want to be on a good list. Do you have any celebrations at the church itself? You do, don't
Yes,
you?
it's the baptism of the Christ.
Okay.
The January 6th, and we just remember him, and that's the celebration.
That's
we
a one.
have.
See, this is the first time I think we've really talked about the traditions of
Yes.
Armenia. And I love that. I mean, it's great. And you brought a few other little things there. What are those?
So pomegranate.
Well, the
it
same
means-
way with the Jewish tradition, the pomegranate
Pomegranate,
is...
it's a fruitful, it's a good luck sign.
Yeah.
So they will drink pomegranate wine made in Armenia. So
Okay.
everybody will drink that, and also represent the blood of Christ on.
Oh,
on the-
yeah, could be
on
in the color.
The
Yeah,
color,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So, and the pomegranate is a good luck. They'll give it to the newlyweds, and they like to eat it in the new year as also a good luck.
My
for
mother,
coming
she
year.
always had pomegranates when they were in season. They were on our table. We loved
Yes,
pomegranates.
and
And
healthy,
cracking
too.
them open and getting those seeds out. It's
And
like...
they say most of the time that the pomegranates have 365 seeds, which represent each day.
Did
of
you
your
count
life.
them, Maria? Come on, did you really count them?
I'm gonna start counting them. If I don't lose it by the time I fill them away.
Good. You'll be eating one, eat
one,
one,
too.
eat one. Yeah, I know how that goes. I love pomegranate.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing this with
you for
us,
having
because I
me.
think that your tradition is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you,
Thank
and
you.
have a Merry Christmas.
Yes, and Merry
Happy
Christmas to
New
you
Year.
too. And I'm going to switch over to German, and here we are, Jan.
Hello, how are you?
How are things going?
Very, very well. And I have to be honest, although my last name is Walz, which is a German name, my growing up family, my maiden name was Daigle, and my
That's a German name.
Daigle is French name.
Oh, it is
but
French?
we traced my family to the Alsace-Lorraine area, which, if you look, was French,
Borders?
German,
Good
French,
border.
German, French, German.
It's like the Italian-Swiss
Yes,
TV
yes,
right
yes.
there.
So the custom, my dad's first language was French, but my husband really keeps reminding me that really, Jan, you know, the traditions of that area are German.
They're German,
But
Germanica.
we belong to the local German club.
That's over in
and
Albany.
It is on 32 Cherry Street in Albany.
Uh-huh.
And they have been serving Friday night dinners until we're having the last one this Friday. We're going to take January and February off. But from March on, Friday nights, they'll be serving dinners, and they are delicious, and they are German.
Uh-huh.
You always have a Wurstplatter,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
always have wonderful, like this coming Friday, we're doing Rouladen, and so we have this Sauerbraten and things like this. And Kurt will talk much
Yeah,
more
Kurt's
about
coming on
that.
right now, I
But
think, yeah.
I wanted to mention, again, so interesting, the German ancestry was one of the largest group of people that came to the United States. So many of the traditions that we have, like having a Christmas tree inside, and first they use candles, bringing the light there, wreaths, so many of these traditions were brought over to the United States when you have such a large population
Right,
coming
and
from countries.
they tended to settle in the Midwest, didn't they?
Yes, and although Texas has a great big
Really?
Oktoberfest, oh my gosh, in
Well, everybody
Frederick-
has an Oktoberfest,
Yes,
yeah.
but this is, there's a large group of Germans down in Texas.
I did not
How
know
did they
that.
get there? I don't know, but
They
we have-
tended to like to go to areas that were similar to their homeland.
And farming,
Yeah,
a
and
lot
farming.
of them were excellent farmers.
Yeah.
And of course, when your country is, in conflict or bombed and things like this, it doesn't help the farmland.
doesn't.
And so, a
Yeah,
lot
and
of
we
people
have
came.
Kurt Vincent
Yes.
just joined us. And Kurt, you're a musician and you are also a chef.
Among
So what
other
are you
things,
chefing?
And a volunteer.
Well, so yeah, that's what people do here.
Well,
Yes, we do.
I've been a member of the German club for many, many years, and I've always said, the food could be better here. So they finally said, well, why don't you do something about it? So I have been working on a project that started 5, 6, 7 years ago for Friday night beer gardens.
Oh, good. I should come over for that.
You should definitely come.
Yeah, the good
I love a
music.
good, yeah.
You don't.
food.
So
I don't have to be German to do that, right?
Absolutely not. So
Yeah.
the location is called Schützen Park, which was first originated in the 1890s. When you talk about the Germans going to the Midwest, well, eventually, but they came.
They had to start somewhere,
Albany,
right?
Schenectady,
Yeah,
Troy.
yeah.
Each of these communities had
Yeah.
German clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're the only one left.
I know there used to be a lot of them.
Yes.
I remember
Correct,
growing up, there were a
correct.
lot of them.
And
yeah.
unfortunately, many people think of German food as being very heavy, very rich, very gravies and dumplings. And there certainly is truth in that, but it is also very nourishing and very appetizing. And if you don't make a daily meal of sauerbraten every single day, once a week, once a month, it's a
Wiener
wonderful treat.
schnitzel
Wiener
and-
schnitzels,
oh,
all the
yeah,
schnitzels,
yeah. And I love the
goulashes.
wurst when
so
I
the
was
Germans,
Chickens.
the contemporary Germans have taken a lot of influences from the surrounding European communities. So there's a lot of Hungarian food from the Austro-Hungarians, a lot of Austrian
Paprika,
food.
they use that heavy paprika too. Yeah.
Well, the real Hungarian paprikash, yes.
Hot stuff. I got a jar of it.
It's
yeah.
very good. You can't replace it.
It's delicious.
No.
Yes.
So we're doing dinners, and so much of the people, so many people have remembrances of their grandmother, their grandfather, whatever.
Sure.
And as someone my ancestry goes back 3 generations, so it was my great-grandparents who came in the 1880s and settled in New York State as
Yeah.
farmers.
And they did not go to the Midwest.
They did not go to the Midwest. and my mother's maiden name was Berninger. So that was the name. She was brought up during the war. Her father was a local politician, and she was told, don't tell anyone you're German.
Well, that was the whole.
That's a whole other
But see,
story.
when I was growing up, it was World War II,
Yeah.
and it was like you never speak the enemy's language.
Right.
So that meant you couldn't speak
Correct.
Italian, you couldn't speak German, you couldn't
Right.
speak Japanese.
Right,
Yes.
right. And that
Yes.
certainly was true, unfortunately.
So
in this
I never
area.
learned Italian,
Right, right.
but I took
right.
German in high school. So go figure.
Very good, very good.
Yes.
So I was listening to the Armenian customs, and there are so many similarities. In Germany, the Christmas season starts in the beginning of December and goes all the way to Epiphany, or
which is the 6th, yeah.
the Feast of the Three Kings.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a long, long time to celebrate. And Germans love to celebrate,
We
and
love
they
to
have
celebrate, don't we?
very
Yes, and-
traditions,
Yes,
including.
And one of them, as you mentioned, Kurt, a long time, and the pre-celebration before Christmas, Advent, is your Christmas markets. And
Oh, that's a big
little
thing,
town, every little town that has a public square has
a
Christmas markets.
And we have photos that we were showing,
Yes, and then
too.
they're wonderful. But I wanted to mention one of the things that I really like about the Christmas markets. They have some traditional things. They have some ugly, very sweet Glühwein. It's mulled wine, but it depends where you go.
You said mold, not mold.
Mulled.
I know what mold
Yeah.
is. I just want to make sure that
But-
everybody understands
Yes,
that it's
yes,
mulled,
M-U.
which means it's just.
It's got spices in
Yeah.
it. But it depends where you start, because sometimes they start with a very sweet red wine. But you are outside, and the families are coming together, and that's the wonderful thing about the Christmas markets. The community comes together, and they have the gingerbreads, they have all kinds of wonderful candies. They have nutcrackers and all of this, and they have carvings. Almost everyone, there's a lot of carvers, and you have nativity scenes. And so the reason I brought in this little lamb is that when Dave and I had been there, and we went on our own to see about 6 Christmas markets, we bought a nativity set, and when we got home, we didn't have any lambs other than the one that the shepherd had around
over
his
his
neck.
shoulder. So you had to go get some lambs?
My husband carved them.
Get out.
So
he made that?
Yeah, so David carved 2 sheep to go along. But
what a talented
one
guy.
of the things that I love about the Christmas markets is so much of it is really
homemade.
Quality handmade products. I mean, you can find junky trinkets, I'm sure, but most of it is the artisan wear.
Well, the Germans were very good at where the Italians were sculptors and that, but the Germans were masters at working with wood, I think.
Yes, and clocks and nutcrackers and all of these wonderful things.
Yeah,
And
so
they're great fun.
Your Christmas is the 25th.
Yes, Christmas is.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
25th.
because we were talking about
Yeah.
2 Christmases. The first
because you do the
Christmas-
Epiphany too.
No, you start with St. Nicholas Day, when kids put their boots out
Yes.
and get
Oh,
candy
that's
in the
right.
boots.
Yes.
I remember
Then you
that.
work through December 24th, Heilige Abend,
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, which is everything closes. Absolutely everything closes, and you have dinner at
No
home.
last minute shopping.
No last minute shopping. Germany still enforces blue laws, so there's no Sunday shopping, but markets are exempt. That's one of the reasons why markets
the Christmas day.
are so popular, because you can go there. So the 25th, all the family comes back, and typically you eat a very modest meal. You have
No feast?
no feast. The feast is saved for the next day. Hot dogs or Wienerwurst and potato salad. That is the most common New Year's Eve.
German potato salad.
German potato
Oh, I love
salad.
German potato
naturally.
salad.
And then the next day, which is Weihnachts, the first Christmas,
Yeah.
and on the
Heilige
25th,
Weihnachten, right?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, that's right.
Fröhliche Weihnachten.
It came to me.
See, all those years later.
Years
You never
later,
know.
it's coming to me.
So you do your Christmas presents on the 24th. You don't put your tree up until the 23rd, very
Really,
late.
very close to,
If it's a real traditional house, you have real candles.
I know,
on a
you have the
real
wreath
tree.
around the thing. Yeah.
No, that's St. Lucia.
Oh, St.
You gotta
Lucia.
go
No,
farther
that's
north
Italian.
for
That's
that.
another.
You have to go farther north for
Yeah.
that. You sing
Scandinavia.
the song about Lucia, but
Yeah.
you don't. And all the churches have midnight service, late service, and all the bells ring. So it's perfectly quiet, and from the surrounding areas, you hear all those bells.
Yes.
It is absolutely magical.
It must be
Absolutely.
magical.
December, Christmas time is a marvelous time to go to Germany. People always say, "Why are you going to go to Germany? It's cold."
No.
It's beautiful.
It's like my grandson who had to go to Oktoberfest in Munich, and he went and he said it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it goes on for days.
It goes on for 17
Yes.
days. But Christmas is less commercial than we have in
Yeah, I
this
know.
country.
Yeah.
Particularly Advent. They take Advent very, very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It's a time of reflection. It's a time of anticipation.
Yeah.
And because you're at a farther northern latitude, it gets darker even earlier than here in Schenectady,
Really?
New York. So it tends to be depressing. And November, December are generally rainy months. This year they've had snow, which is unusual for this time of year in Germany. So anything that you can do to brighten things up. You don't see multicolored Christmas lights. It's generally white lights. White, green, and red. Those are the 3 colors of Christmas. And I've got my green, I've got my red. And Janice has her white blouse on, and the decorations are wonderful. Fresh pine boughs, very little artificial. It's just absolutely beautiful. So then the second Christmas, the 26th, what the English would call Boxing Day.
Oh,
when you
Boxing
go-
Day, that's
you
right.
go visit your friends.
Yeah.
And then you
That's
generally...
where you bring boxes. Actually,
You take
it's
your
not a
kids.
fighting day.
No,
It's
no.
It's bringing
It's
boxes.
or you go out to a restaurant and have
Yeah.
a very fancy meal.
Yeah.
Then you take the whole period between New Year's Eve and New Year's Day off, because who wants to work? It's the holidays.
Yeah.
And New Year's Eve is called Sylvester, named after Saint Sylvester.
Oh, okay.
And you shoot your fireworks off on Christmas Eve, you do fortune
New
telling,
Year's Eve,
and at
yeah.
midnight you drink your champagne or your German sect and dance to the Blue Danube Waltz.
Yes.
That is the tradition.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Now, I want to get back to one thing that everybody says, that Santa Claus,
Jawohl.
his father, Christmas,
Yeah.
came from Germany.
Well, there are many different versions of that. Remember, Germany was the home of the Protestant Reformation.
Yep.
So
yep.
there was a great
Luther.
fight between
Martin
southern
Luther.
Germany and northern Germany, the Protestants.
Yeah.
Luther felt that we need to rename, we can't keep talking about the holy this and the holy that. So the Weihnachtsmann was invented, the Christmas man, versus the Christkindl,
Yeah,
which is the
Kringle
Christmas
that we call him.
Kindle.
Yeah,
or
no, but we
child.
call it Chris Kringle.
Right,
Yeah.
is the personification of the baby Jesus.
Oh, okay.
So in the South, you still find that in the famous Nuremberg market.
Right.
She's the star of the market.
Yes,
They get a
the
teenage
little
girl
kid,
to dress up, and she's an angel and has wings and a beautiful costume. She comes
Right.
down on a magic
Well,
rope,
horse, rope,
opens
whatever,
the ceremony.
Yeah, Peter Pan, there we go.
There is that. The thing that some people believe, and this is sort of stretching it, is that the famous cartoonist, political cartoonist Thomas Nast, was the first person who gave Santa the rosy cheeks and the fat belly, and he was born in Germany.
Okay.
So, but that was done in this country, Coca-Cola and all that. You go to
picked it up on,
Germany,
yeah.
and Santa Claus
Is
is
thin.
a thin, kind of bedraggled-looking guy.
I know.
Yeah.
And they have no problems with having multiple Santa Clauses side by side by
Just
side.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he does
Kurt.
have a companion,
Yeah.
because not every child is good. So you have Krampus, or you have...
Connect Rupert.
Yes. I was going to say Black Peter, and there's a number of names.
We don't say that anymore.
Oh, okay, yes.
I want to thank you, Kurt, for being here, and I am going to try and get over there some Friday and have some of
Friday
your...
night, German American Club
Yeah,
on Cherry
your
Street.
knockwurst. I was told from my mother-in-law, who was German, a knockwurst.
A knockwurst.
It's not
A
called knockwurst.
Richtig.
It's knockwurst. She
knockwurst.
corrected me when the first time I met her. So.
And I know you probably don't
Thirst.
drink beer, but you can even have a nice German
Oh,
or
I like
Bavarian
beer.
beer.
Yeah,
Oh,
nice
yes.
beer. I don't like
We
the
have
heavy
live
beer.
music,
Yeah.
accordion
Yes.
player.
But you'll have to wait till
But
March.
I'll be there. Thank
Yes,
you so much,
March.
Kurt. I'm going to go back to Jan here and to talk about the rest of it. And
Yes, so again, one of the joys of your Christmas markets is the coming together of community. And I think early on in many, many countries and in many neighborhoods, you had the community doing something. And that is really one of the joys of these Christmas markets. As
bringing
Kurt
together,
said,
yeah.
they are the place that you can shop, that's open, and the wonderful crafts. But the coming together, and it is just joyous. In Nuremberg, they have a 2-level merry-go-round carousel. And to see
I'm
the
gonna have to
parents
look that up.
with the little
Okay.
kids and the wonder of their faces. And one of the things
It's a
we've
celebration.
lost, it is a celebration. And we used to go caroling here, in America, little towns, and people don't do that as much. And you lose that meeting your neighbors because you
And
may
they
not
say,
see
"Huh,
them.
would you like some hot chocolate?"
Yes,
Yeah.
or Glühwein, But
Right.
the hot chocolates are wonderful. But it's the gingerbread, and it's all this, and the wonderful German pyramids, where you have layer upon layer upon layer of little wooden holders of candles, and they're going around and around. And apparently the
Magical.
largest one is in Dresden. But that, again, is another tradition of workmanship for the German community.
And you've got one right there. So
In my little
I
shape
I
of
have a
my
whole new
nativity.
respect for David now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, what are you going to do when you come home and you didn't
You don't
bring
have
any
a sheep. Yeah. Thanks so much, Jan, for being here. We're going to be talking next about Hanukkah. Even though Hanukkah is over, I thought it would be important to talk about the holiday because it does come right around the same time as Christmas in December, usually in December. And I talked to a friend who was Jewish, and he said to me, "This is not our biggest holiday." So tell us a little bit about it, Judy.
That is right. Hanukkah is a beautiful holiday. It's also called the Festivity of Lights or the Festival of Lights.
Festival of Lights.
And it is beautiful that even if we are already past the time of the Hanukkah celebration itself, the light that we experience during all that week is still with us, and it can be with us the entire winter.
And the background, and correct me if I'm wrong, the background is that they only had a little bit of oil, but it kept burning. Is that it? That they could continue to burn these candles one after the other?
You're absolutely right. The festivity of Hanukkah is really based on the book of the Maccabees, the historical story that happened more than 2,000 years ago. And it's all about the freedom of religion, the free spirit, of being who you are, of respecting what you think, what you wish, what you feel. And we celebrate that to this day for that reason. On those days, they had a big temple in Jerusalem, and all the Jewish people tend to go there to pray. And at that time, they couldn't do that. That's when the Maccabees
they were
rebelled about it, and they fought for their spiritual freedom and the religious freedom to pray in the temple. So when they actually won that war into going back to the temple, and Hanukkah really means like open house.
Oh, okay, I didn't know what the translation was.
Yeah, it's an open house. It's come back to the temple, to the house, to the place where we are as a community, where we gather together, where we pray together. So it's just an inauguration, if you may. So they had the building. That was the first day that everybody came back, and they went cleaning the building. They have a nice candelabra of 7 branches, and they didn't have enough oil to light it up like the costume was. But they found a little jar, and that jar has enough oil for 8 days. And that's how we...
Oh, that's the 8 days, okay.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's why we celebrate for 8 days, because and it's called the Miracle of Hanukkah, that just a little bit of oil lasted for 8 days instead of the 1 day that they thought it will last.
Oh, okay. And so do you light a different candle every day, is that correct?
Each day you light 1 more candle.
And is there a reason for each one? I mean, do you have like a name for each candle, or you just light one candle? I mean, because sometimes, you say, well, this is for, peace, or this is for that. Is there any significance?
Every family have their own traditions.
Okay.
We don't really have a name for the candles,
Okay, I'm just curious.
One.
Yeah.
That one is the server candle. It's called also shamash in Hebrew, which is the one that lights the other candles.
Oh, okay.
And that symbolizes that you need to be there for others, like the light is the light in you. And there is one light that is great, even if it's the one that serves the others, you give your light to others and you keep your own light.
So you don't give up your own.
Exactly.
Yeah. And how would the children, is this, I understand the lights and everything, but I also see that you have, we always talk about the dreidel, dreidel, that whole thing. So do the children have, do they see this as a fun celebration?
Well, because if it's the time that everybody in the community celebrate different holidays, they get excited because all the people in the classrooms celebrate. So it's a tradition to give gifts, especially in America, to the kids, and get very excited about that. In other places in the world, they don't get as many gifts like they do in America. We actually get coins.
The little gold coins, so they're chocolate coins.
They're chocolate coins. When I was a little girl, we got gum.
Oh, gum, okay,
But every country is different. And then we got real coins. And the pleasure of, when I was a young girl, I had like 4 boxes, all of them for charity, and I could decide each night where I'm going to put my coin.
Oh.
So that was
so they were real
excitement
coins that you got. You got real coins.
The real coins were for charity.
So now I see they do the chocolate.
Or the chocolate on this day.
Yeah.
And you have the top, the little dreidel. the little dreidel have 4 faces.
Yeah.
On each one there is a Hebrew letter.
Yeah, and I don't know what those letters are. Because I have seen them, but I don't know what they mean.
Well, they stand for a phrase meaning a big miracle happened there.
Oh, okay.
And funny enough, the tops in Israel that we call dreidels,
Yeah.
they have also 4 sides, and it says a big miracle happened here.
Oh, okay.
So ours is there, theirs is here, and it's very fun to have both of them together and show the difference of them depending on where you are in the world.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing, and I know that you sent a photo where people actually are putting up the decorations now, which I'm so happy to see, and I'm really happy to see that it's being addressed as a joyous time for not only for Jewish people but for everyone to celebrate to your traditions of the Festival of Lights, bringing light to all of us.
Bringing light and being free to be who you are.
Right.
And to give charity is one of the universal values that we carry. So it's very nice that everybody live by that or believe in the freedom of religion and spirit.
And I do want to add that you come from the Jewish Community Center in Schenectady, and you are the director of the adult and cultural programs as well. And I know you do a film series, which is amazing too, and I really enjoyed the last one, and I'm sorry I didn't get to the discussion, but the film was really an interesting film. I really enjoyed it. So keep doing that, because I think they're great films. So thanks for being here, Judy. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show and to learn about what you're doing. And I know the Jewish Community Center is really a center where everyone is welcome, and you have a great gym, and you've got all kinds of cultural stuff and a swimming pool. I mean, you got it all.
Thank you so much for having me
keep it up, and say hi to your husband for me too.
Thank you so much.
We're going to switch over, and we're going to be talking about baking. Oh my gosh, good to see you, Evelyn.
Good to see
yes.
you, Ann.
And you've written a book. This is an amazing woman.
And I brought you a book.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
She's amazing because she was. What did you do before this? You were.
I've done a lot of things. I did. I was a hairdresser.
And hold your book up so we can see what. And it's called Hairdresser to Cake Designer. And you make the most amazing. Go to her website to see those cakes.
Thank you, Ann.
I mean, I can't believe what you do, because, I mean, when you had that cake that you made that was suspended
Oh, yes.
on,
A swing, crystal swing. Yeah. Yeah.
and you'd never done that before.
Not anything like that. Yeah, it was quite a challenge, but we made it, and it turned out great. And
It turned out great. The pictures were wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you've been, just lately, I know I've been following you on Facebook too.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing a different thing about, tell us what you're doing, because I think it's really interesting and how you're doing it.
Right. Well, I'm going to be shipping. I've been kind of testing the waters right now with friends.
Shipping cakes.
Yeah, shipping cakes in a jar. And if all continues to go well, it'll be on my website in probably February, because it takes about 8 weeks.
How do you do a cake in a jar?
Well,
Use a lot of Pam?
yeah, right. Well, it's all, you cut it up in little circles, then you just layer whatever. the
Okay,
cake
so
is.
you already baked
It's
it.
already, and I have one for you.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good. Can we see it, or is
Yeah,
that possible?
Absolutely. I'll let you
Yeah,
take
she's
that
gonna let
right
me
up.
open it. Excuse me, guys, while I can see it. So, I thought you poured the batter in.
Oh,
And,
no,
I
a
mean,
lot
I
of
had no
people
idea.
think
I was
that.
trying to follow what
Yes.
you were doing. Let's see what she's done here. This is going to be interesting. So this is already baked.
It's all ready. You just order.
Will you look at that?
It's actually, that one is a carrot cake, and it's all prepared. All you have to have is
Is eat it.
spoon. Just eat it. Yeah.
That's a clever idea. Has anyone done this?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Other
really?
people
I've never
have
even
done
heard
it,
of
yeah.
this.
But I, for years, had so many people ask me about shipping cakes, and I've got family in Michigan and all kinds of friends
This
there.
is a great idea.
Yeah, so I think it's going to go well. People have been so far happy. And,
Do you have different kinds of cakes?
Yeah, right now about 10. And
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's enough. It's kept me busy.
So you put like a frosting, or like a cream cheese frosting?
Yes, that has cream cheese frosting with the carrot cake.
Okay.
And whatever they order, if it has a filling, you just layer it. And Actually, it's surprising because they
I love this idea.
really, really fresh. Even, if you're at a
Well, sure
wedding.
it would be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's sealed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it would seem to me that because it's sealed, it's going to last a lot longer than if it was on your shelf.
Yeah. Well, they say about 7 days,
Yeah.
10 to 7 days, but I say 7.
Well, that never
because-
lasts that long if it's
Right,
on your
no,
shelf
no.
anyway, so you wouldn't even know how long it takes to.
Right. But so far, it's working well, and hopefully it'll be on my website by February, because it takes about 8 weeks to get the labels and ingredients.
So what do you, I mean, like, I'm looking at this, and I'm assuming that you make your cake, so you got so you got a lot to work with.
Right, I do, and I'm continuously making them.
Yeah.
So,
Now, chocolate is a biggie. Do you do anything in chocolate?
I do. I do just a regular chocolate cake right now, because I'm only doing 10. And then I do a chocolate mint, which is absolutely wonderful with a chocolate ganache.
Oh.
So that's been a pretty good seller. So
Yeah.
I think once they taste it, they'll like it a lot better, and it'll sell a lot more.
Yeah. But this is a great little gift. I mean, I'm thinking like even for somebody's birthday, send
Oh
them
my gosh, yeah.
here's a cake.
Yeah, because I had people want me to ship cakes, and I said, no, I just don't want to get into that. So finally
I
said,
can't even imagine how you ship a cake
yeah,
easily.
it's just too much involved
I
and
mean,
too stressful.
you can put those bubble wrap around
Yes.
it, but I'm afraid the bubble wrap, you'd be licking it from all the frosting.
Yeah, that would probably happen. But so I just decided that I would do this. So it's working out pretty well.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you kind of seem to look and see what could be working. I mean, because not everybody's getting married every week, and I know you
Exactly.
do a lot of wedding, but you don't do just wedding cakes. You'll do birthday cakes, and you'll do retirement cakes and
I
things.
do. It got to the point where I kind of have to have a high minimum for just regular cakes because I work alone. My husband helps me, but it's kind of hard, to fit in the little cakes when you're doing big wedding cakes.
Yeah, you're doing a big wedding,
So
you're doing
I
a
did
big.
that, but it's still working.
Yeah.
Still order.
So where do you get your ideas? Because, I mean, I've seen your cakes. Go to her website. Please go to her website just to look at these cakes.
Thank you.
But I see that you've got, do you use a lot of fondant? I mean, because some of those cakes, it seems like you have to use fondant.
Oh, yeah, I do a lot of fondant because you can get that pristine look with the fondant.
Yeah.
I mean, you can with buttercream too, but I do sell a lot of fondant cakes.
Yeah. And that's edible.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
everything is edible.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love it when you put the gold on, and and that's edible too.
Oh, it is. As a matter of fact, I do a pink champagne, and it's topped with 24-karat edible gold. So, I figured New Year's,
Yeah.
that'll be great.
And as a pharmacist, they used to have gold injections for arthritis. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
I don't think they do it
Imagine
now,
that.
but they used to. I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gold. They used to use
Jeez.
gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the
Interesting.
things that, you store back here somewhere.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So your husband helps you. That's a good
He
thing when you get a
does.
big job. Okay, my big question is, how do you transport these cakes?
The wedding-
Not these, because this is easy.
Oh, yeah, that's easy. Wedding cakes, well, I dowel them up really well, put down the center with a dowel, huge dowel.
Yeah, you got to dowel 'em,
And some people don't box them up, they just put them in their vehicle. I don't do that because I'm kind of
Do you
fussy.
assemble them when you get there? Because some of those, I can't even imagine when they're this tall.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got
I
a van,
do.
maybe you could slide it in.
I do if they're really, really big, but I like to get them done beforehand.
You want 'em
if
done.
I can, yeah, because I
You don't
like-
want to be having
I
to
don't want
fix a
in
little
everyone's
frosting
way.
there if you need it. Yeah.
Exactly. But it works, and you just got to know what you're doing when you dowel it up really well. So,
Yeah. Do you get your supplies locally, or do you have to get them? Because it seems to me, what you get, you need to get from a big supplier.
Right, I do. I usually order out of town. I just did a book signing actually in New York back in, I can't remember, October I think it was. And it's where I usually buy a lot of supplies because it's easy. and
Well,
she
you
knows
probably
what I
get the more
want.
unique and
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
You're not going to go to the local, craft store
Right,
and pick up what you
right.
need.
Once in a while, if I run short of something, I'm running out to get it, but usually I order.
You plan
right
ahead,
now.
though. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
because they've
definitely.
ordered a cake. If I'm going to have a wedding cake, I'm going to order it today for next June.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you know what you're going to
What
need
I'm
for
gonna
that
need.
cake.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's amazing what you've done. I mean, I've been watching you on Facebook, and I'm going,
know,
oh,
we
that woman is just an amazing.
thank you.
Every
I
time you post a
appreciate that.
cake, it's like, whoa, how did she do that?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to me, you know, you see people do acrobatics and stuff, and you go, wow, but I do the same thing with you.
Oh, well, thank you.
I
That's
do.
quite
I
a
look at
compliment.
that and say, how did she do that?
Yeah, well, years of experience, you know,
Yeah.
and my mind is always
And
working.
besides, you've always been working on
Yeah,
that
it's
hair
all,
right,
it's all
you
an
know.
art. It really, really is. Yeah.
It's all art, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to
thank
read your
you so
book and
much,
see.
and
Yeah,
I'll pass that right over
I
to
just, I've admired you from afar.
Oh, well, thank you,
Yeah,
Ann,
for what
and you
you've
as well.
done, and I can't, I mean, it's just amazing.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being
All
here.
right,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a nice
Bye-bye.
holiday
You
too. And we're gonna switch over to what do the Irish do for the holidays?
What don't they do?
Oh, okay,
A
what
little
don't
bit of
they do?
everything, I think. Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it's been so interesting to hear all the other traditions because that's exactly right. You know, a lot of the modern, we'll call them traditions, evolved or devolved from Celtic and pagan.
Yeah.
You know, often we mentioned Roman and the
And
Saturnalia.
I want to back up because pagan is not a slur. To
Right,
me, it's
yeah.
a religion.
Yeah, and
Or
absolutely.
or a belief.
It was, and it was a way of life, you know,
Yeah.
certainly for the Celts, you know, the Druids
Yeah.
had a lot of kind of stock in mistletoe, holly and ivy,
Yeah.
and it was all to do with nature and, you know, the cycle
They used
of
to
the
wear the
year.
wreath and
They
say-
would
yeah.
wear it, and, you know, it was partly for protection, but also, of course, because it was an evergreen, it was often the only kind of colour and decoration you could get, and the red berries were very important. And so fire, very important. So, you know, the solstice, December 1921, or December 21st.
21st is the solstice, yeah.
Yes. And so, you know, they have, like, Newgrange tombs, you know, are older than the Egyptian pyramids. And
Oh, yeah.
they're built in just such a way that on that morning, the
The
sun
light.
rises and comes in and lights up this, you know, cairn kind of passage too.
How did they do that? Isn't
I
that
know, it's
amazing?
incredible.
You
And,
hear about
you know,
the
they're finding
Mayans
them.
did the same thing,
Yeah.
and it's like
And they're
those.
discovering more and more because actually with the pandemic, and I think we must have had a drought, one of the worst droughts in Ireland, you know, which is unusual because we're usually so wet. But there's actually 3 or 4 other passage graves in the same area have been discovered. And now with drone footage, you know, they're able to get above the ground. So they're looking down. And it turns out that actually and there's a site in Kerry that does the same thing, they were mirroring the stars. And so, you know, they have these like stones laid out in a path that absolutely mirror the stars. It's amazing, you know, what they knew that we didn't
Well,
know they knew.
I mean, we think of like, oh, look what we can do. We got the chips, and we can do this and that.
Yeah.
But
this was with the naked eye. you
they
know,
were
and,
doing
yeah.
this with the naked eye, and the fact that the ships could look at the stars and decide. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it was phenomenal, you know.
So how would your Christmas day go?
So, well, you know, Christmas, I think in Ireland, particularly because it was such a poor country for so long, and of course a colonised country, not allowed to celebrate
I
the
know,
Catholic
yeah.
religion, it has kind of its own set of particular traditions, I think. So Christmas Day is always very, very family oriented. You know, a lot of people, my own family particularly, you know, own a shop. And so it's very, very busy in the run up to Christmas Eve. Even Christmas Eve you're working, but then Christmas Day was just for the family. A little bit formal, you know, you have to go to Mass if you didn't go to midnight Mass the night before. But we have, of course, you know, Santa Claus comes and all the presents, and then big dinner. And again, even when it was poor, you know, in the 1800s,
They saved their
earlier,
money
They saved their money for a feast, you know, so there was traditionally, it would be goose maybe, or duck. Turkey came to us later. Fish on Christmas Eve, and again, you know, fish was kind of plentiful on the island, you know.
Yeah,
so-
absolutely, yeah.
And then whatever little bit of baking you could do, you would attempt
So
to do
so
that.
so cookies. Cookies were not big, or were they?
Not so much cookies. We do a lot with
Shortbread.
plum pudding,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
or Christmas cake, which is traditionally
Yeah.
quite heavy. But and again, this was sort of exotic because they often had to import, you know, these dried fruits and things. But alcohol made it last, you know, so then you could kind of celebrate with the pie.
Right.
And of course, a lot of our traditions are technically British, I suppose. So you know, we have things like sherry trifle and plum pudding.
The trifle is always
Yeah,
traditional.
Yeah, yeah. And so in the old
Do they
days,
make Pandoras there?
No.
With the meringue and whipped cream? No.
Now we do, but again, you know, very, very recent.
Okay.
And so in the older days, I think caraway seeds and very
Oh,
plain
caraway,
kind
yeah,
of, you know,
yeah.
very, very plain cakes were the tradition back in the day. You
Uh-huh.
know. And then January 6th is a huge day in Ireland, particularly for women, because it's celebrating the Epiphany, but it's called Women's Christmas because, of course, they would have worked so hard, for the feast.
Oh, what a nice thing. Yeah,
so,
that's really nice.
Some women kind of say a little bit wryly that they get the dregs of Christmas because all the food is gone and it's the last day, but it was traditionally a day that the men would kind of do the cooking and cleaning and allow the women out. Particularly, I suppose, in the 19th century, women often had their own independent, they called it the egg money. So if a woman kept a few chickens or whatever and she could sell the eggs, that money was hers to do with as she pleased. And so this was a day where she could kind of celebrate with her friends.
So actually, they were quite liberated in that way.
They were, I think very traditionally Celtic, and the Druids and Brehons very, could be matriarchal sometimes. But even Irish women in later times, even though it was kind of a patriarchal society, the Irish mommy rules the roost, so...
I mean, maybe it's just something, but how we tend to look at different cultures and kind of get a picture. Yeah. And I've always thought that the Irish women were very strong women.
They were, they kind of had to be. I suppose marriage was not guaranteed to everybody in Ireland, particularly after the 1700s, and so because you had to wait, somebody had to, inherit a farm or whatever. So sometimes men were a lot older than their wives when they married finally, and this in one way might have not been great for the woman, but the other side of it was if she played her cards right,
she
inherited was infirm maybe, and so she was kind of running the place, and she could inherit, and so it's a mixed blessing, I think, and a lot of women stayed single, they either emigrated or became nuns.
There were a lot of nuns in Ireland. Yeah. Well, it was a way to nail down that you got a place to sleep, right?
That was it, and like at the time, families were always very proud to have a daughter. That was a nun or a son of priest. And then our other
even in our family, it was like, oh my God, did he get the calling? And I had a cousin that became a priest, and a second cousin that became a priest, one that became a nun. So they got the calling.
Exactly, the vocation. And then our other big Irish tradition is St. Stephen's Day, which was what we call Boxing Day.
So you have a Boxing Day?
We do, but it's St. Stephen's Day, the 26th, and it's a huge local community of singing and dancing and kind of going house to house busking. So they say. The wren is the bird that they're hunting, supposedly, because there's various different stories, but one of them says that the wren, which kind of cried out and alerted Cromwell to the fact that there was Irish, soldiers hiding in a ditch, and so they killed the wren. And it's a very traditional.
Wow!
Yeah, they go in. They're dressed up, kind of a lot of straw.
Yeah, I know that we've been showing the photos that you've had. Yeah.
So and then the interesting thing about it too is that of course the Irish bring all of these traditions with them to America. So just like with Halloween, which started off as kind of a Celtic, the Samhain holiday, these Christmas traditions with holly and ivy and going from house to house.
Well, there's a song, The Holly and the Ivy. Yeah. Now, please, I hope that I'm not doing anything wrong or saying anything wrong, but. There's Northern Ireland, and I mean, is the country still pretty much divided? And if so, are their traditions different because one is Catholic, one is Protestant? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So no, I suppose a lot of the traditions would be very similar, simply because they're Christian. Maybe the Protestant parts of Northern Ireland mightn't do the Renboy, for instance, as much as we do in the south. But yeah, I mean, there's talks now, of course, because of Brexit and all of this, that maybe there'll be unification eventually. But technically, the 6 counties in Northern Ireland are still, they have their own government.
Are they? I know they're geologically they're separate, but are they politically separate in the sense that you have different? I mean, this is getting away from what we talked about, but I think it's important for me to kind of get a feel for what is going on there. Do they have a different government and everything?
Oh, they do, yeah. So they finally have their own government. It had been not there for a long time, of course. But after the Good Friday Agreement, they have a government for the last 2 or 3 years, which is in a little bit, of disarray. It's a coalition government, but the DUP, the party, have been going over. And I would say Southern Ireland has become a small bit more liberal than Northern Ireland. So we passed, gay marriage.
I've been following that.
And so it's a funny thing because Northern Ireland is ruled by Great Britain technically, and Great Britain, for instance, has access to abortion.
Yeah, they're very liberal. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's been some strange kind of push-pull.
Well, it may be that they've got their own mind.
Well, they're a little bit more conservative. They're very to the right Protestants. A lot of the time at the time the majority, but I think, that's going to
And
ease
that could
out.
change, it could change
absolutely.
tomorrow. I mean,
Well,
things
and
change.
The European Union, have certainly pushed Ireland itself towards change. So, and Northern Ireland voted to stay within the European Union, but they were carried, because of the greater numbers in
Southern.
the UK.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, okay.
so we'll see, I think it would be great if the country was united, but, it's a little bit off yet, yeah.
It's really sad when you hear about North and South Korea, North and South Vietnam. It's like, well, we got North and South Carolina. No, wait, that doesn't mean the same thing.
I have not visited, so I can't comment.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, but I love your traditions and the
Yeah.
fact that you the holly, but you kind of incorporated the Celtic into
Yeah,
this as well,
absolutely we did, yeah.
without obscuring Christianity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think, your first guest touched on that Christianity had to have that anchor because the holiday was so popular you couldn't not have it, and
Yeah.
so they kind of, took the date and just put on top of that date, the celebration of
Well,
the birth of
it's
Christ,
kind of, I mean, it's odd in a way because I guess the census was done in the summer. So if Christ was born in the summer, he certainly wasn't
Yeah,
born in January
yes,
or
December
or
25th.
you know. So I mean, it's an arbitrary day, and
Yeah.
I mean, you have to pick some day
Exactly.
because
yeah,
nobody
yeah,
was there.
yeah. Well, there isn't a date in the Bible, as far as I'm
No,
aware.
no,
so,
no,
and,
no. And
yeah.
but I believe the census was in the summer.
Yeah,
They
that's
didn't.
right.
They wouldn't have had a census
No, in December. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. But anyway.
So, but it's I think a great opportunity for people to get together from all, and it was interesting when immigrants particularly came to America because the Puritans were very anti. the
Oh my gosh, they
celebration,
were
the
totally
rituals,
against.
So, yeah.
They
So
were
it's a
against the
new
celebration.
concept, Yeah. So it really is. Christmas in America is kind of new. It's
I've
19th
learned
century
a little
German
bit
and
about
Irish traditions,
Puritans over the past maybe year or so, and it's like they weren't very nice people.
They weren't, and we give them too much power in one way because there's, they're really limited, thankfully, to Massachusetts, a lot,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Massachusetts colony or other parts of other colonies, but, this kind of world view that they have is very, very dominating,
Oh
kind
my
of in early
gosh.
America, which is funny.
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth, I don't know if I said, but Elizabeth is the executive director of the Irish American Heritage
Museum.
Perfect. Yeah, I wanted to say culture, but cultural
I know,
center.
we do it all.
Yeah, you do it all. And they have a new place, so tell us where it is.
Super excited, 21 Quackenbush Square, just behind the Albany Pump Station and next to the Visitor Centre.
Great.
So we're open. We have a gorgeous currach on display at the moment, a traditional Irish rowing boat, and an exhibition about that. We have an exhibition about Irish and Irish American Christmas up, and so, you're all welcome.
And you have a genealogy too.
And we have our genealogist, she's once a month, the last Wednesday of every month. But
So
check
if you
out
want,
her
if you want to
Facebook
check
page.
your Irish heritage, there
Exactly,
you go.
or any other heritage, she'll help. You don't have to be Irish.
You don't have to. Thank you for being so generous to the rest of us.
We're inclusive,
Elizabeth,
Thank you
it's
very
always
much.
a pleasure. I
Yes,
want to
you
wish you a very happy holidays
you,
and
you
hope
too.
that
Merry
you have a joyous new year and that you stay nice and healthy.
That's exactly it. Everyone stay safe. That's the most important thing.
That is.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Elizabeth. And I'm going to switch right over to one of my very favorite people. Hi, good to see you today. And you brought Jessica with you as well, and she's from the Hamilton Hill Arts, and she's part of the program as well for Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
And I love your display. Let me get this book out of the way while you're set up here so this doesn't distract. If I can do that. There we go. So tell me a little bit about Kwanzaa. I know a little bit, and I know you have the candles too, because we were talking about Hanukkah. So
That's right, that's right. Well, Kwanzaa is probably the only celebration here in the United States that was created in our lifetime.
yeah, and what year was that?
Christmas.
That was in the 60s, was it?
It was in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Whoa.
it was part of the civil rights movement in a way. Professor Milana Karanga came up with the idea. He and probably some of his friends designed the whole thing, and it caught on. It suited a need that existed at that time and that has existed into the future today. And
Absolutely.
So forth.
But remember that every holiday somebody had to design it.
It did.
I mean, I don't care what holiday you look at, somebody started it, because these don't just pop up and happen.
That's right.
Somebody has to say, oh, well, we'll do this, and
That's right.
so that's great. I'm glad he did it.
Yeah, me too.
Good. Hi,
And we
Jessica.
can
Good to see you
celebrate.
again.
Yeah.
And so now you have the candles as well.
Yes. Our candles, well, at the root of Kwanzaa is 7 principles, the Nguzo Zaba. And each principle, each candle represents a principle. Also, the colors of the candle.
You have the red, the green, and the black. It looks like I'm.
And that goes with the African American flag.
Oh, I see why they did that.
So that goes. It's red for the blood, black for the people, green for the abundance, prosperity, and so on. And so each of the candles stands for one of the principles. And that's why we have 7, and it's a 7-day celebration.
And it starts on the 26th and goes to the 1st, is that
Right.
correct? Okay.
And
And
it
you're
was
going to talk a little bit about the event, right, Jessica?
Sure.
Yeah.
So it was never designed to replace Christmas, but the idea was.
Well, it's not a religious holiday
It's
anyway,
not a
so it's
religious holiday.
it augments the season.
Exactly. And so people are kind of in the festive attitude between Christmas and New Year's. And so it seemed like that was a perfect week to hold it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the things here, everything has a purpose, a meaning. So the corn, for example, represents the children of the world. And if you have, say you have 3 children in your family, you'd have 3 years of corn.
Oh, okay.
If you have no children, if you're a single person and you don't have children, you still have at least an ear of corn because you are responsible for the children.
Yeah,
of the
really,
world. So
yeah.
you would.
Yeah, it
you
takes
would-
a village to, that whole
Right.
thing, yeah.
Right. Normally, I didn't bring it today, but normally we have a bowl of
Yeah.
fruit, which represents the harvest.
And the children probably get little presents of books and things, yeah.
Yes, so the presents
For an
are
enrichment.
either homemade, or they are books or educational
Yeah.
in some way.
Which makes a lot more sense than some of the other stuff.
Right, right. We
Oh,
have
did
a
I say
cup-
that? I'm sorry.
No, you're right. We have a cup, which is the unity cup, and that we usually put water in it. This represents the ancestors, pour a little in a plant or on the ground, on the earth, to honor the
Oh, okay.
ancestors and
Yeah.
remember the ancestors.
Okay, now you have a big celebration coming up, so let's let Jessica tell us a little bit about what's going on. I know you both plan together because you're planning, but we're going to let Jessica tell us a little bit.
Sure. In the spirit of Kwanzaa, the spirit of Umoja unity, we have the Capital Region Kwanzaa Coalition. So these events are put on by basically a coalition of all the nonprofits and pro-Black organizations across the entire Capital Region. So what we normally do on the first night is usually a very large celebratory event for the first night, which is Umoja.
And where's that going to be?
This year it's going to be at the Frank Chapman Institute at 340 First Street in Albany.
Okay.
Usually we would do it at the New York State Museum, but this year things are a little different due to COVID mandates. And the following 6 nights, we get each of the nonprofits who volunteered in the coalition to host their own event.
Oh, nice.
So the next 6 nights are at different locations, including the Troy Boys and Girls Club, the Albany Boys and Girls Club, as well as the Electric City Barn in Schenectady.
Oh, yeah, she's really good, yeah.
Yeah, so we have these events, and each event is done with the theme of the principle of Kwanzaa that it is that night. And so each event will be themed with something like a cooperative economics or purpose or faith, and will be some kind of celebration or event that reflects that theme. So for example, for creativity, last year, we had children come in and make their own kinara, and they got to paint and celebrate and
Oh, that's really nice.
yeah, and really get into creativity and things like that.
And it's something that they can go home with and say, I made this.
Exactly. So all of these events are very family-oriented because the children, the green candles also represent the future and our children as well. And so we encourage all the families to come together for these events and reflect on the themes, because Kwanzaa is also about unifying and strengthening the community as well as celebrating our culture and what we're about.
Right.
So-
I really like that you've kept this, how do I want to say it? I mean, it's like non-commercial. I mean, you've kind of tried to bring it to the soul of the people rather than, Okay, let's put the tinsel up and stuff, you know, that kind of thing. I like the, because you can do that for the other holidays, but this one is sort of like a reflection.
Yes, Kwanzaa is a reflection of the past and where we've come from, especially when we honor our ancestors. The current day, how far we've made it, what we're looking at now, and also a look to the future. So we celebrate our culture then, now, and the creators that are moving forward. So we take that time to celebrate all three for Kwanzaa.
And I like the fact that it's not religious. You can just basically talk about your country or the country of the origin. Although, you know, is this strictly African American, or could it be Black from any, or people of color from anywhere?
It is currently celebrated throughout the world.
Okay, you know, I know that.
And it could be people from anywhere. And I say people, it's primarily African American.
Okay.
That's the focus. That's who it was designed for. But at the same time, people are welcome to join in who believe in the principles.
And the same principles.
Right.
Yeah, I just wonder, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I just wanted to understand, you know, that, you know, are you just focusing, in a way you are focusing on that.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Right.
Yeah, but anyone can celebrate with you, is what that's, I guess, what I was trying to get to. I guess I did it through the back door, which didn't work very well.
Well, one very practical reality is that people fall in love with each other without rules and regulations.
Exactly.
And so there
That's a
are
good thing.
children who are, you know, racially mixed, religiously mixed, and mixed in every way that you can figure.
And it's going to keep going, you know, it's going to, it's not going to change. You know, there's no way of making things change. People fall in love the way they fall in love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to thank you both, but I got to tell them who's coming on next week. And it's not next week, actually, it's January the 12th. I have the 8th step coming on. We're going to be talking, oh gosh, taxes. So we're going to be talking about the federal income state taxes, and we're going to be talking about the New York State folklore, and she's bringing a blacksmith with her as well. Schenectady Light Opera is going to be here talking about songs of the New World. Stephanie's Beauty Supply is coming on, and she's very specific, and we're going to learn about that. And then we're going to talk about student sponsors for education. So we got a great lineup coming up, and I want to thank you both for being here and presenting so nicely what happens at Kwanzaa. And I missed the big one over at the museum.
Yes.
With the dancers and the drummers and the emoji. Oh yeah, they're all party on. Have a great holiday, guys.